People come to me and they say, Brett, I'm going on a trip where it's going to be really cold. I want a 4-season tent. And here is why that is a huge mistake. So for those of you that are new here, my name is Brett. I'm an outdoor educator. During COVID, I can't teach. There are just no classes for me to teach. That should start up again soon, maybe in January. But for now, we're talking a lot about gear and skills and things like that. Numbers-wise, in terms of space, these tents are pretty close together. Even in terms of price, they're not that far apart, though some 4-season tents can be really expensive. The big difference between these two tents is structure. This tent has double the amount of poles, and this isn't even including the pole that's incorporated into the rainfly. I've left the rainflies off so you can see what the tents look like, or so you can see the structure of the tents. This tent has done away with almost all mesh, whereas this tent is almost exclusively mesh. So you have to say to yourself, why do tent manufacturers make tents out of mesh? And the first reason is breathability, is you get far better breathability out of a tent whose walls are made out of mesh. The second thing that's really good about mesh is it's super lightweight. This tent weighs just under 4 pounds. This tent, on the other hand, weighs 11 pounds. It is a monster, and it's not that it's bigger, it's that it's built much stronger. So then you have to ask yourself, why did they do away with all the mesh on this tent? And it's for durability and strength. We want it to be able to stand up to really extreme weather. So what kind of weather are we talking about? We're talking about really bad weather. So this tent over here, you're fine in heavy rain, you're fine in heavy wind. Winds of 75 miles an hour or maybe even more, you'll do okay there, assuming it's staked out and guyed out. But this tent over here is designed for the extreme. So the big thing here is you'll see the additional poles, which are adding a lot more structure to the tent and a lot more strength. And that is primarily to protect you against a heavy snow load. The concern is that you'll go to sleep at night in the mountains and it'll be beautiful, and then overnight you'll get a foot of heavy snow. And here's what happens when you get a foot of heavy snow. First, in a 3-season tent, the tent collapses down on top of you. And on a 4-season tent, it doesn't. And so the 4-season tent is going to withstand that heavy snow load. The price you pay for that is you lose a lot of the mesh and you gain a bunch of poles, and the poles are bigger and heavier to begin with. The other big thing that a 4-season tent is designed for is really extreme winds. So winds in excess of 100 miles an hour. Now, no one is going camping in a hurricane, so that's not what they're thinking of. They're thinking of wind associated with an avalanche. So when you get an avalanche of snow, it pushes all the air in front of it really fast, and you don't want your tent to get blown down. And so that's what that's protecting against. So who needs a 4-season tent, right? Alpine climbers, mountaineers need 4-season tents. Everyone else can have a 3-season tent. But what about where I started, where someone said, hey, I'm going on a trip and it's going to be really cold. I need a 4-season tent. Your tent's job is not to keep you warm. Your tent's job is to keep you protected from wind and rain and snow. And both of these tents will protect you from wind and rain and snow. And so you could say, hey, why do you own this tent? You don't climb mountains. You're a kayaker primarily. And so I have that tent for backpacking and this tent for kayaking trips in Alaska. That's the only place that this tent gets used, is kayaking in coastal Alaska. I do it because in coastal Alaska, you can get really extreme weather changes. It'll go from a beautiful day to 90-mile-an-hour winds and driving rain. And for me, I want that added strength that this tent offers. And then the other part of it is, as a kayaker, I don't care how much it weighs. It doesn't matter to me. That's the difference between these two tents. And the mistake that people make is they buy that for backpacking. Really bad call. Don't do that. Okay, so that's the differences between these two tents. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that if you're just a regular backpacker, even if you're expecting bad weather, you're going in the winter, unless you're in the mountains or climbing mountains, you'll go with a tent like that over a tent like that. Okay, that's our video for this week. I'm heading to the beach in a couple weeks. I've got a lot of videos planned that I'm going to shoot out there. If this worked well for you, if this sort of content is interesting, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me here, follow me on Instagram. I'm super active on Instagram. And yeah, that's what's going on. All right, I'll see you outside.